Good morning, everybody. Got your coffee? I got mine. If you notice, I'm having mine in my Golden Girls cup. My husband bought me this cup. It's my second favorite cup. My first favorite cup, it broke on me. And so now I'm using this cup. The Golden Girls, I love me some Golden Girls, honey. Let me tell you, they got me through one of the hardest moments of my life. Now, as a person who counts himself as conscious and somewhat awake, I will be the first to admit that they have some problematic episodes. Yeah, it was the 80s, but problematic is problematic. And when we know better, we do better. Anyway, that's not what I want to talk about. Gordon and the vet, thank you so much for sending the love my way. Thank you. I appreciate it. And while I'm out today, buying more spray paint for our pantry because I don't have enough for that inside, turns out. And I'm usually great at estimating that kind of thing. But I got to hit Lowe's, and then I got to go take my library books back to the library. And that's all I have to do today, and work on the pantry. That's it. That's all I got to do today. So pretty much a free day. So listen. I need all of the younger women, because I know that the people who follow me tend to be my age or older. But if there are any young people, but you know what, women my age, y'all come on too, because I have a girlfriend recently. We're only 3 months apart in age. So that means that she is 53, same as I. And she recently told me that she was tired of being head of the household. And I wish I had questioned her a little bit more on that, but I didn't want to pry. Because I know that she's never been married. And she hasn't had the best experiences with men. But hell, most of us women haven't. I mean, the thing about picking a good man, let me tell you what the trick to picking a good man is. You got to know and love yourself. And I don't mean just saying the words and convincing everybody else around you. I mean, you got to really know that. You have got to really know who you are so that you know what your needs are, so that you can set expectations for your partner. And you have to love yourself, because if you don't love yourself, you're not going to attract loving men. And that's just the truth. It really is. And I'm not saying that women deserve bad men. I'm just saying that is why bad men tend to find us when they do. Because they have this way of recognizing vulnerability in a woman and exploiting that for their own benefit. And so if you don't find a man that you can trust with your vulnerability, you can't be vulnerable with, that relationship will not be successful. Not if he's the kind of man that will abuse that. But she told me she was tired of being the head of the household. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, wow, that's crazy, Because right before I met my husband, I mean, I was in therapy, I was healing, I was single, and I was having a great time. I definitely wasn't looking for no man. Because I was understanding coming into myself. I was. And I was starting to understand what made me tick and what I needed and who I was. And I was deconstructing away from all the bullshit that this world tells me about myself. What the world tells me what being a woman is. What being a black woman is. What being a mother is. What my role in society is. I was deconstructed from all that shit. And let me tell you, I love my children, don't get me wrong, but if I knew then what I knew now, I never would have had any children. And I definitely definitely never would have wasted so much time dating and worried about men. You know, there are some beliefs, core beliefs, that we internalize so much and we don't know why that is. A lot of you only want to be a wife because society tells you that that's who you are. And a lot of you only want children because society tells you that's what your role is. And because we as women feel so much pressure to be those things that we make very wrong decisions. We have more children than we can afford. We have children that we don't want. We deal with men who abuse us, use us, lie to us, all in the pursuit of what someone else says we should want. That's the truth. Don't get me wrong. I love my husband. I do. I love him with my whole heart. He is a really good guy. But all the men that came before him, if I could have never met them ever in my life, that would have been great. I loved being single. And if you all do not like being single, I know we're all entitled to feel differently. We are. But I gotta say that a lot of y'all don't like being single because y'all doing it wrong. You are. You're not enjoying that time that you are supposed to have by yourself to figure your shit out. Go to therapy. Heal. Understand what you want for your life. Travel. Go to brunch with the girls. Stop worrying so much about a man. When you are ready to receive that man will find you. I promise you. When you are ready to receive that man will find you. And even if you never get married, and we have to stop making women that don't have children and are not married feel bad about that. Those are the smart ones. They are, because they figured out, and they're not making mistakes that a lot of us have made long ago. And I honestly wish that my mother and my grandmothers had have been more honest with me about what marriage and motherhood really, really, truly was. Because if they were, I might not have made the mistakes that I made. We as mothers, we're constantly training our daughters to be mothers and to be wives and putting in their heads that that's what they should want. Stop buying them these books, these kids' story books about being a fairy princess. Buy them books about women's empowerment and independence and educational books. Get your degrees. Don't listen to these men that clown y'all about having degrees and cats. The only men who are clowning y'all about that are the men who want women to take care of them and think that that is a woman's role, to sacrifice her best years for a man that doesn't deserve them instead of investing those years in herself. Those are the only men that got a problem with women living their own lives exactly how they want to, having full autonomy over themselves. Those are the only men. And with that being said, do y'all see this Keke Palmer? She done went back to her abusive baby daddy and she pregnant, got another baby on the way. And and that's her business. That's her business. But I use her as an example. You can have all the beauty, all the talent. You can have money. But if you don't love yourself and respect yourself and value yourself, to understand at this point what she said she went through with him. She should know enough at this point that having his babies is a trap. Because men will use babies to trap you. They'll use babies to slow you down. They will. I've seen it happen over and over and over again. They'll give you a baby that they don't even want. They have no intentions of raising, taking care of, just to slow you down and make shit harder on you. And here it is. She's thinking that this man probably loves her. They got another baby on the way. They're going to give it another shot. Even though he beat her up and choked her in her own house. Somehow she thinks this is going to end well. But that man, us older women, know that man came back into her life to finish her off. We ain't heard the last of that. He's back to finish her off, to take the rest, because now he knows how to do it. Now he knows how to go about it. He got some experience dealing with this woman under his belt, and he knows exactly how to manipulate her into becoming exactly who he wanted her to be. Don't let him back in. When you have dealt with an abusive man, the worst thing you can do is to let him back in. Give him a way back in. He not coming back in because he love you, baby. He coming back in to finish your ass off. To take the rest. Your money, your talent, your good looks. Your self-esteem, your self-worth. And maybe those kids too. So he can get some child support. We have to. Someone said to me recently, we raise our daughters and we love our sons. And that is so true. Women, ladies, we have got to pour more into our daughters. And we have to love them enough to teach them how to love themselves. So that they have partners that will value them. And that's even if they want a partner. We need to let them know that they have options. That they don't have to be wives and mothers if they don't want to. And they don't have to sacrifice themselves for men who aren't even worthy of that. My girlfriend I was talking about earlier, she looks a lot older than me. Another older woman had to tell her, that man was draining her. Take your time, young women. You making all these sacrifices for a man that ain't even worth it. And these days, so many of them are so violent. They're unaliving their partners. They're unaliving their wives. Then when you do find the love, that self-love, enough to say that this isn't what I want for myself. He is not what I want for myself. They try to kill you when you leave. Even in my very own community, honey, I see these young black ladies and they doing it. They're teachers and doctors, medical students. They're going to law school. The University of South Carolina is here. It's one of the top schools. I don't know how, because these folks in South Carolina ain't none too bright. But it is. And so you see a lot of young professionals, nurses and whatnot. And then I see them, honey, and the men that they're with, they don't work. They can't fix nothing. Driving around in their cars, in the woman's cars, while she pays all the bills. They're playing with their nice, expensive toys that she done bought. Like, you know what a slingshot is? Those motorized cars they go around with the loud music. These men out here living these soft lives. provided by the, the sweat and hard work of women. I mean, if that's what you want to do, that's your business. But just know that a man that loves you is going to create a life safe enough for you to be able to exist in your divine femininity, baby. You're never going to work too hard around a real man. That is just the truth. That is the truth. And I really didn't know that until I met my husband. I didn't. When I first met him, I thought he was really intense, and I was backing away so much. It was a whole lot of things about him that made me back away from him initially. But I had never been in a relationship with a man before that was completely into me, devoted to me, and was all about me. And just wanting to see me happy. Just unconditional love. I had never experienced that. And to be honest with you, I never experienced that from any other human being in my life. Not my parents, not my sibling, not even my children. Just no matter what you do, no matter who you are in the moment, I'm going to completely love you through it. Because that's what you need from me. He was the first person ever to do it. A man is going to create an environment where you can be your best self. And if that man isn't doing that for you, he ain't the man for you. You really are better off by yourself. And also, too, be okay with being by yourself. There's nothing wrong with that. Like I said, being single, that was great for me. That was great for me. She tired of being the head of her household. What do you mean? You earn a great living. You have your own business. What does that mean? Being the head of the household. What do you mean? I mean, her son is grown. I guess that was just her way of saying she was tired of being alone. Because being the head of the household, when I think about it that way, that means, on your tax returns, you put head of the household. And if you talk about fixing things and taking care of things, you got the money to call somebody to have them come out and fix it. I mean, what do you mean you don't want to be the head of the household? To the point where at her big age, she is sacrificing her peace, her body, her mind for men who are not worthy. Because I love her to death. I love her to death. And she a strong sister. She a good sister. But she don't have that thing in her where she doesn't love herself through and through. Because a woman that loves herself through and through, it's just some shit you ain't gonna put up with. And that's the truth. It's just some shit you really ain't gonna put up with. If you putting up with abuse, if you putting up with a man talking to you with the utmost disrespect, if you putting up with a man that's lying, and let me tell you something, one of the biggest frauds ever perpetrated on someone, well, obviously, I gotta say, it was the way white people convinced people of color that they were the superior race. That's got to be the biggest fraud ever perpetrated on the world. But right behind that, right under the umbrella of white supremacy, where you have misogyny and sexism, was the way men convinced women that just biologically they can't be faithful. They have convinced you that they cannot be faithful. I have been married to my husband for 13 years. We have never dealt with infidelity in our marriage. Men can be faithful. I promise you that they can. You just got to get one that want to be faithful. You just got to get one that understands what the stakes are. I love my husband to death, but I love me more. I love me more. Cheat if you want to. I consider that you falling for divorce. That's the way I feel about it. And the reason why I'm so confident in that stance is because, again, I had that time to myself. I don't mind being by myself. Shit, it was great. Not having to think about somebody else when you're cooking dinner, not having to wash somebody else's clothes, not having to tidy up behind somebody else, not having to ever think, hyper focus on somebody else's needs. Man, that was freedom. That was real fucking freedom. Do you hear me? Not having to compromise, not having to, think about somebody else when you make decisions. I mean, again, don't get me wrong. I love my husband. We have we got a pretty good marriage. We have our shit too. Every marriage does. But when I think about a marriage, we've got a pretty good one. But baby, I loved being single. I did. And I don't have a problem, just being without a man. I don't. We women have let society talk us into believing that our role is wife, mother. But a lot of women are breaking away from that. And you're seeing a lot of women that don't want to get married anymore. And I completely understand it. When you don't give women control over their own bodies, who wants to get pregnant? I've had a miscarriage once. If I had that same miscarriage today in this state, I'd be in a whole lot of trouble. Because the procedure that I needed to have done, I wouldn't be able to have done. They would consider it an abortion. Women aren't wanting to risk that anymore. And then women are starting to see that, men are very much so lacking in emotional intelligence. And the reason why that is because we are loving our sons to the point where we are engaging in emotional incest with them. And we are raising our daughters, and they've got all the emotional intelligence because we're raising them and training them up from the time they're little girls. They can't even have a childhood to take care of others, to sacrifice others. That your role is caregiver. And a man's role, we're telling them, is to be cared for. Did you see that TikTok where that young lady, her mom put her out because she wouldn't cook her older brother who was sitting in the room playing video games, food? It's another reason why you have to get to know yourself a little better and get the right man in your life so that, you're not having sons and raising them to replace these men that you don't have in your lives. And you're telling them that you're raising them to be served. And then when women who are becoming more and more emotionally intelligent, are getting more and more degrees, becoming more and more independent, they look at these bums of sons that you marry and decide, yeah, get somebody else to do it. Did you know that the highest population of homelessness right now, the most growing population of homelessness right now, homeless people, are black men? True story. True story. Black women are collectively saying, get somebody else to do it. And then, when you have these discussions, there are always men in the comments that are arguing with women. And I never argue with them because, again, you know what that is? That's their anger and their resentment of not being able to find someone to take care of them when their mothers won't do it anymore. And what do the mothers expect? You didn't raise them to be men. Real women want real men. And women are not going to college and getting these jobs and getting these degrees to take care of a man. Women are breaking away from that. And don't get me wrong, still have enough women doing that. That they're still in line with the patriarchy and they're still doing it. Especially when you have billionaire men like Tyler Perry telling women, black women in particular, it's okay if he can only pay the light bill. No, it ain't. No, it ain't. I wish I could have that conversation with him. Because first of all, why are you even talking to black women? And then you're telling black women is that we need to be going to work, sacrificing, and it's okay for us to love a man that won't level up. Why aren't you telling black men, as a black man, I am rich. I'm a billionaire. This is where I started from. And you too can level up so that we can take care of our women. Why the fuck wasn't that the message? Baby. I'll end it there. Thanks for sticking with me. I know this was a long one this morning. But ladies, love yourself. Take time out for yourself. Travel. See the world. Love on you. You know? Go to independent libraries. Have cappuccino. Take yourself on an adventure. Men, 9 out of 10 of them ain't worth the energy you spend. I promise you that. Get yourself together first so that you can recognize a good man from a bad one. Y'all have a good day. If you like to support me or my platform, I'll put my Venmo and my Cash App in the bio. And if you like to support the Curbside Library and Pantry, I'll put that link down in the comments. Y'all have a good one.